Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. It's not actually in the midnight already. I'm doing some notes taking revision for my secondary school work, chemistry. Sorry for my untidiness because I cannot start without being untidy. If not, I don't know where I go. I go bombard. I'm going to tell you the chemistry notes that I take note when I was schooling. Chemistry, what is chemistry, and what is kinetic particle theory, things like what is kinetic particle theory, what is melting point, what is freezing point, what is sublimation, what is condensation, what is evaporation. Let me at a quick glance I tell you. Let me look at my notes and tell you what is chemistry. Chemistry is a branch of science concerned with the substance of which matter is composed, the investigation of their properties and reactions, and the use of such reactions to form new substances. You read it. I will read it. I don't make it into a waste, that's why I want to make into a video to show everyone. And then chemistry is basically the study of 118 elements in the periodic table and the substance formed by mixing and joining the elements together. What is matter? Matter is a substance that has mass and occupies space. All living and non-living things are matter. M-A-T-T-E-R, matter. What is matter made up of? All matter is made up of particles called atoms or molecules. By the way, how I make note is I always question myself about my surroundings, question about the chemistry topic, what I taught, and help me to understand more. What do matter exist as, or what are the states of matter? Matter can exist as a solid, liquid, or gas, known as the states of matter. The three states of matter have very different properties. Okay, next page. Next page. What are the properties of matter? Or what are the properties of the states of matter? Solid has fixed shape and fixed volume and cannot be compressed. Liquid has no fixed shape and has fixed volume and cannot be compressed. Gas has no fixed shape and has no fixed volume but can be compressed. What are the three modes motions of molecules? They are vibrational, spinning, and displacements. Displacement means moving from place to place. What happens when particles collide? When particles collide, they gain energy instead of losing energy. Where does collision usually occur? Collision usually occurs in air and liquid. That's why you see the particles inside the liquid and gas is furthest apart because they collide each other. What is the relation of particles in a solid, liquid, and gas? In solid, the particles is packed closely together and in an orderly manner. In liquid, the particles is packed closely together but not in an orderly manner. In gas, the particles is far apart and there is no orderly arrangement of particles. Next question, what is the motion of the particles like in a solid, liquid, and gas? Solid, the particles can only vibrate or rotate about their fixed positions. Liquid, the particles can move randomly from place to place within the liquid. And in gas, the particles move freely and randomly. Next question, is there forces that exist in solid, liquid, and gas? Yes, there is very strong electric forces between particles in solid. Yes, there is weaker attractive forces between particles in liquid and solid. Yes, but weaker attractive forces between particles in gas than in liquid. Next page. Why does solid have a fixed shape and fixed volume? According to kinetic particle theory, the particles of solid are closely packed in an orderly manner, are held together by very strong attractive forces, have little kinetic energy to only vibrate and rotate about their fixed positions, and cannot move about freely, hence a fixed shape. A fixed volume is because solid cannot be compressed, since its particles are already very close to one another. Next question, why does liquid have no fixed shape and fixed volume? Similarly, use the kinetic particle theory to explain. According to kinetic particle theory, the particles of a liquid are classified in a reduced orderly manner, are held together by weaker attractive forces, have more kinetic energy than particles in solid, and are not held in fixed position and can move freely throughout the liquid, hence no fixed shape. A fixed volume is because liquid cannot be compressed, though the particles are further apart than in solid, but they are still closely packed. We go to the next page again. Why does gas have no fixed shape and no fixed volume? According to kinetic particle theory, the particles of a gas are spread far apart from one another, have weaker forces of attraction than the particles of a liquid, have a lot of kinetic energy, and it held in fixed position and can move about rapidly in any direction, hence no fixed shape. No fixed volume is because it can be compressed when pressure is applied. It can be compressed because the particles are loosely packed with great distances between them. Okay, so many things already. We keep repeating what is kinetic particle theory. So what is kinetic particle theory? The kinetic particle theory states that the matter is made up of tiny particles and that these particles are in constant random motion. Kinetic simply means motion. Kinetic particle theory simply means moving particles have kinetic energy. Kinetic particle theory describes the states of matter, explains the differences in the properties of solids, liquids, and gases, and also explains the changes in states of matter. So we use kinetic particle theory to explain the states of matter. Can matter change from one state to another? If yes, why? Yes, solid can change to liquid, liquid change to gas. When matter is heated or cooled, the heat energy taken in or given out causes the kinetic energy of the particles to change. As a result, there is a change in state. So when kinetic energy change in particles, there is a change in state. When solid become liquid, what is it called? When solid become liquid, what is it called? It's called melting. M-E-L-T-I-N-G, melting. To be precise, melting is a change of state from solid to liquid. Strong attractive forces is overcome. What is melting point? Melting point is the temperature at which a solid becomes a liquid. To be precise, is the constant temperature at which solid become liquid. When you see a graph, right, there's a constant temperature that is the melting point. Does all substances have same melting point? No, the answer is no. This one what happens to the particles in a solid when it's treated until it melts. This one what happens to the particles in a solid when it is heated until it melts. Well, heat energy is absorbed by the particles in the solid. Heat energy is converted into kinetic energy. Particles start to vibrate faster about their fixed positions and gain enough energy to overcome the attractive forces, and they break free and they become a liquid. When the temperature is high enough, the vibrations of the particles become sufficient to overcome the fixed forces of attraction between them. The particles begin to break away from the fixed positions. The particles are no longer in the fixed positions. The process is how a liquid forms. The particles can move freely throughout the liquid. How does heating curve of a solid looks like? The heating curve of a solid. As temperature increase, and then go constant and then increase again. The constant line is the melting temperature of substance. If it is constant, it also shows that it's a pure substance. When liquid changes to solid, what is it called? It is called freezing. F-R-E-E-Z-I-N-G, freezing. What is freezing point? The constant temperature at which liquid freezes to become solid. During freezing, the liquid particles loses kinetic energy to become closer together in an orderly manner. When liquid becomes solid, it's called freezing. Next question. Describe what happens to the particles in the liquid as it freezes to become solid. During freezing, the temperature of liquid particles remain constant. Heat energy is released as the particles of the liquid are attracted to each other to form a solid. Heat energy is given out to the surroundings. A mixture of liquid and solid exists at this constant temperature. This is the cooling curve. It drops from high temperature and then a constant line and then it drops again. When liquid changes to gas, what is it called? It is called boiling. B-O-L-I-N-G. What is boiling point? Boiling point is simply the constant temperature at which liquid boils to become gas. Describe what happens to the particles in the liquid as it boils to become gas. During boiling, the temperature of liquid particles remains constant. Heat energy is absorbed to overcome the forces of attraction between the particles. A mixture of liquid and gas exists at this stage. Oh, there's a question here I don't understand what I'm writing. Can you see? I don't understand what I'm writing. What's the boiling process pure? No, it consists of other gases to dissolve in the liquid. Okay, let's skip this part. What is evaporation? It's when a liquid changes to gas at temperature lower than boiling point. What is evaporation? It's when liquid changes to gas at temperature lower than boiling point. The evaporation temperature is to occur below boiling point, simply means. And why does evaporation occur? Because particles at surface gain enough kinetic energy to escape. What is volatile liquids? Volatile liquids that evaporate quickly at room temperature, usually having higher boiling points above room temperature. Volatile liquids have boiling temperature above room temperature. What is the difference between boiling and evaporation? Boiling occurs only at boiling point, but evaporation occurs at temperature below boiling point. Boiling occurs throughout the liquid, but evaporation occurs only at the surface. Boiling occurs rapidly, but evaporation occurs slowly. What is condensation? Condensation is a process by which a gas changes to a liquid. When does condensation occur? Is when water vapor touches a cool surface and liquid water is obtained. What happens to the particles of a gas when the gas condenses? It's a reverse of boiling. Heat energy is given out by the gas particles during condensation. As the temperature drops, the gas particles lose energy and mass. and move more slowly. Eventually, the movement of the particles becomes slow enough for the gas to exchange to a liquid. What is sublimation? The process by which a solid changes directly to a gas without going through liquid state. Why do solids sublime? Because solids particles at the surface of solid have enough energy to break away from solid and escape as gas. Give two examples of solid that sublimes: ammonium chloride and allodium and dry ice. How is sublimation useful? Dry ice is used, for example, dry ice as sublimation is useful. Why? Why dry is useful? Because it is used to transport frozen food like ice cream and meat. And because this food needs very cold temperature and dry ice comes into hand because it changes from solid to gas immediately without leaving behind any mass like liquid that may drips to the floor and cause slippery grounds. It's to prevent falls, and simply you say that we use dry ice is because to prevent falls. Because it straight away it turns into solid, it turns into gas from solid. About to finish, quite a few pages more. What is diffusion? The process by which particles move freely to fill up any available space. Particles move from high concentration to low concentration. What is molecular mass? Mass of particles. Particles with smaller molecular mass move faster or slower. Faster because diffuse faster. I repeat again. Particles with smaller molecular mass move faster or slower. Faster because diffuse faster. Rate of diffusion is faster or slower in liquid when compared to gas. Rate of diffusion in liquid diffuse slower. Describe the effect of temperature on the rate of diffusion. The higher the temperature, the higher the rate of diffusion. Some other extra questions. Do all pure substances have the same melting point and freezing point? Yes, the answer is yes. How to prove whether substance is impure by its melting point? If the substance is impure, it melts over a range of temperature and its melting point is not equal to its freezing point. Again, let me repeat. How to prove whether substance is impure by its melting point? If the substance is impure, it melts over a range of temperature and its melting point is not equal to its freezing point. Describe the rate of collision in cold and hot weather. In the sense of matter, when the weather is cold, the pressure is low, so few collisions. When the weather is hot, pressure is high, so many collisions. So when the weather is hot, it's easier to start from solid to liquid to gas. When the weather is cold, it's easy to turn from gas to solid to liquid to solid. What is the purpose of boiling stones? It's to make boiling smooth. Why does evaporation occur at a faster rate on windy day? As evaporation is the escape of gas particles on the surface of water, there must not be any absorption. The layer of particles on top of the surface is blown away by the windy day. The strong wind blew away the first layer of the particles and allowed evaporation to occur faster. Why a pure substance do not have fixed boiling point? Because a pure substance has a fixed boiling point only at a fixed pressure. The boiling point changes with pressure. When the pressure decreases, the boiling point decreases. When the pressure increases, the boiling point increases. That is why liquids boils under atmospheric level. What is a pure substance? A pure substance is a single substance, not mixed with anything else. It has definite properties such as fixed melting and boiling point. Alright, that is the end of chapter 1. Basically, I have forgotten quite many of my stuff. I mean my chemistry knowledge. I'm not right now, I'm trying to recap my knowledge on chemistry, do some study revision for my own self good. I hope you also learn something from my session here. But to tell the truth, I'm really very lethargic already. I mean, I want to get on with life. I want to lead a good life. Thank you.